Hello there. I want to ask you a question for like the three people who watched this. And I'm sure this is going to come off as insensitive or really rude or mean or cruel or something. Even though I have zero intentions for it to be, and to me, it's just me pretty much thinking out loud and trying to get some other perspectives on seeing if anybody can grasp where my brain goes with this. But who knows if it makes sense to anybody else. I'm kind of used to people not understanding a word I say when it comes down to my thought processes. But this is just common sense Spock logic to me. So, when it comes down to all these fires down here in SoCal, the question I have is pretty simple. And that is, why is it considered to be bad, offensive, rude, evil, and would you consider it to be a terrible person type of thing to not really care that much about the people who've lost their homes and their livelihoods and all their fucking money that they're gonna have to pool into trying to find a new place to live? Genuinely, I'm serious about that question because and I'm obviously referring to the people who've had a lot of money. Most of these people are millionaires that I'm referring to, whether it's the ranchers out of somewhere like Altadena, or now tonight here on the night of the 8th, the people who live in the Hollywood Hills, you know, like all the celebrities and all the richest influencers and all these other people who have fuck tons of money and income. And probably, if they're smart at least, they have some of the best fucking insurance policies out on their properties, on their homes, on their vehicles, because you know they have multiple vehicles, even if they're just one person living there, because it's fucking vanity. It's the way of life in SoCal. Especially if you live up there, then you are very vain. Different story. The point is that because they have all this money, why, even if they had only $500,000 in net worth as an entire family of five, why should we be donating our hard-earned money that we can barely afford to be able, those who have jobs, right? The average person who barely is probably able to keep their nose above water just in day-to-day life, month-to-month budgeting, because that's how fucking expensive it is now to live in most places in the United States of America. Why the fuck should we be paying into funds for these people who lost their homes, who have a net worth of, like I said, like 500,000 or more, who were able to live in these, $1 million+ properties and places in the first place? Why them? So hear me out on the way my brain works with this and why I do not think anybody should be supporting them financially. Yes, they do need help, obviously. Everybody needs to have that compassion and that understanding, that help. But I think it should be restricted entirely to physical aid, as in, if they need a ride to a shelter, give them a ride without hesitation. If they need a ride to get aid, whether it's food and water, clothes, or whatever else, same thing. Education, medical help, do it without hesitation, obviously. Doesn't matter who, don't even think about it, just do it. But things like that. And obviously cleaning, in the aftermath when it's safe to, going back and then sifting through all the rubble and ash and everything and cleaning through it, not just to clean it all up, of course, but to help salvage anything that might be able to be found and salvaged. Give closure for anybody who might have died, whether it's a fur family or it's a literal human family member or something. Whatever it is, like in that sense, that's what I mean by physical aid. Of course, give them that without hesitation. You wouldn't even have a second thought, obviously. But monetarily, fuck them. Off a cliff. Watch them fall to their death. Is almost the mentality, and like, I guess kind of vicious mentality I have, is like, in the financial sense, they know what it's like to be multimillionaires and not have to worry about their bottom line at all. Have luxuries, including the fucking property and house that they lived in, that they just lost. Let them live without money for a long time. And I'm serious. Let them live without jobs. Let them live without money. Let them live without a roof over their head for, 3 months to, better yet, at least 6 months to a year is preferable. That's like the perfect time period. Because now they are forced to live like everybody else who we should be giving our monetary donations to, who have lost their homes. or the actual people who were homeless, who now either are dead, if they're lucky, though, they somehow managed to get out of there without dying. Those are the kinds of people that we need to be giving our money to. That's where the financial aid should come in. That's where everyone should, those are the people that everyone should focus on, the demographic that everyone should. Not, oh, well, they don't have any money left anymore. Now they're fucked. Let them suffer. I'm serious. Let them suffer. That is compassion, to let them suffer, because they are forcing them against their will to have to live under the conditions that they now have been rendered to have to live through. Force them to live through the injustice and unfairness of, even as an entire family with kids. Yes, I'm talking little kids even. Let those kids be homeless, because it's going to force those rich fuckers to have to realize genuinely and have to live and come to terms with exactly what everyone else is like. Because I guarantee not one of those fuckers came from poverty. They had no idea what it's like to be an average person, especially living somewhere like fucking Southern California around the LA Metroplex, which is one of the single most expensive places to literally even exist and breathe in the world. You just, it's unfathomable how unfairly and like egregiously, criminally it should be, and an international scale, lethally expensive and unbearable it is to have to just struggle and strain to live down there. People who, you know, say in Omaha, Nebraska, make $90K a year, they're more than a livable wage at that point. They're in a very healthy spot. But LA Metroplex, you're fucked. 90K probably won't even, quite literally, probably will make you have to give and sacrifice every month something that you really do need. Whether it's a utility like water, electricity, or internet, because everything fucking requires internet now, including jobs. So you're just fucked. You have to have it. Phone bills for cell phones, because everybody uses cell phones now. Very few people use landlines anymore, unfortunately. Different story. Or literally sacrificing their own meals, sacrificing their ability to eat for a few days, because that's gonna squeak them past budgetarily that month to be able to afford the other essentials that they have to pay, usually is utilities and, keeping a fucking roof over your head, called rent, because everybody's a fucking renter now, and nobody fucking is able to own a home if they wanted to, unless, they're the very people that I feel like should therefore compassionately be made to suffer and not have any financial aid at all. Let them be homeless so that they can know what exactly that is like. Because again, like I said, most of these people have no idea what the fuck it's like to live like a day-to-day person. They think that they have, we've had such a tough time of it lately financially. No, you fucking haven't. If you live in that area with a house that is fucking, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,900, 2,000 square feet, even without land, you're probably paying at least $1 million. Guaranteed you're actually probably paying way more than that in the LA Metroplex. Furthermore, if you're living somewhere like Altadena or the Hills, well, Altadena is its own thing because it's kind of a little bit more ranchy, suburban ranch community. They have a fair amount of land, most of those properties that lost their homes there. With, I believe it was the Pacific Palisades, or it was the Eaton Fire. It was either the Eaton Fire or the Pacific Palisades fire that burned through there. I guess the Altadena fire was also a different one. So never mind. Anyway, the point is, with the fire that burned through there, most of these people were, that way, which means that, they were multimillionaires. You had to be to own a property like that and to even be able to continue to live there and have all your utilities paid and be able to pay for car insurance and be able to pay for your gas and be able, or fuck, electricity if you have an electric car and or hybrid, because holy shit are those things inefficient in regards to how expensive it is and how much fucking voltage it needs per fucking charge. It is insanity. So again, it's all about getting the entire picture, putting it all together, and then considering, because people are already strained enough financially in this country, why should we be giving to the people who lost everything, who had all this fucking money and never struggled? Like they think they've struggled a day, and they fucking haven't. not compared to the everyday people, especially down there, right? That's the point. Why should we be giving our hard-earned cash, what little we might be able to squeak by and give, at risk of maybe having to make our own financial sacrifices for a month or so? What in the fuck, why in the fuck should we be donating to them? Why should we be giving to their GoFundMes or their GiveSendGos or whatever the fuck else medium you try to use? Why should anybody give them a fucking penny? Why should anybody do anything but let them be homeless and let them have to live like that for a handful of months at a time so that they get a harsh reality check and realize also how unfairly homeless people tend to be treated? Besides the fact that because people just don't have the money, and they also just don't have the fucking time, and everybody else is already fucked up enough, and their family dynamics are fucked up enough, because it's apparently universal at this point, that literally you have nothing you can do. You just don't have the bandwidth, mentally, emotionally, physically, the time, the finances, to be able to help support or give a fuck about those people, or give them a moment of your time. So besides that aspect, it's also just the generalized prejudice that almost everybody has. Even people who themselves struggle, who have never been homeless before, likelihood is, whether they realize it or not, they have certain negative stigmas against homeless people. Like, oh, they're always unsafe. Oh, they're probably always mentally unhinged. Oh, they're always probably high on meth or some other hard drug, or whatever the fuck else. And again, those are the people that really should be getting our finances. With the little money that everybody in the working class world has on hand right now, especially in the US, you need to prioritize where the fuck and who the fuck you're supporting and giving that is financially, and giving that little hard-earned extra cash that you might have put in savings normally or in your emergency fund. Well, now it's going to people who are in more need than you are right now, which is understandable, and it's beautiful thing. But how about giving it to the people who really matter, and that is the people who are always struggling day to day, right? That's what I'm referring to. That's what I'm referring to. I wish people thought like that, methodically through things, even the most intense situations like this that are literally life and death. I wish they took the fucking time to have the presence of mind to look at the whole picture, think about it, and realize, yeah, I'm not going to give to this fund for the victims of Altadena who lost all their livelihoods and their homes, because those people were at least millionaires. They wouldn't fucking live there, and they wouldn't have that ability to have those homes and those cars and everything else there, and their horses or whatever the fuck else, unless they were. That's literally a fact. That is not some hyperbolic statement. It's literally factual. You have to be a millionaire to do that. Down there, again, specifically. So instead, I'm going to focus on giving my hard-earned income, what little extra I have this month, to the funds for the homeless people who were victims and survived, and obviously to those who are just working class people who lost everything but survived. These are the people who I will therefore focus giving my financial support to. Not those fuckers who live in the fucking hills above the city and their opulent fucking properties and McMansions, or the people who are millionaires because they have to be in order to afford to live somewhere like Altadena on a piece of land that literally has, like, say, 5 or more fucking acres. Even 2.5 acres is wildly expensive there. I mean, it's almost borderline Manhattan levels, and that's, again, also, just like LA Metroplex, is one of the single most expensive places, literally, in the entire world to just to exist and breathe. Not a fucking joke. I wish I could say it was. It is far from being a joke. So that's my thought process on it. And yeah, that would, they're suffering. The people who were millionaires who lost everything, say in Altadena, are in the hills right now that are going to lose everything. Those people potentially may be homeless for a good amount of time, and they may be suffering therefore massively, even if they were families. Let them do it. Yes, that is a compassionate thing. It's not irrational. It's not cruel. It's justice is what it really is. At least to me, logically, my Spock brain says this is logical, and it is genuine compassion. You can have both compassion and logic at play, contrary to popular belief. And that's what's at play here. again, to me, in my potentially highly warped perspective, because apparently I am an insane asylum rejectee and escapee to the average person. So yeah, maybe my logic doesn't fucking align here with almost anybody else out there, but to me, this makes sense. And that's why I'm actually really making this video, is to hopefully make people really think, give them a different perspective, the one that I'm coming from, and then actually maybe let them think it over and let it sink in enough that whether they're consciously or subconsciously mulling it over, maybe it becomes something they can start to see the perspective of, or and understand it at the very least, if not actually realize maybe that there's a point here. And also for those, just to be able to give me the input of like if it does make any fucking sense to them or not, or if they just think that it's just like cold-hearted, heartless dickery and arrogance or something at play. But like I said in the beginning, like it's not that you're not going to help those people without hesitation, because if you're a good-hearted person, you won't hesitate to help them. You're gonna, if you're there, if you're present and able, you will give them a helping hand, literally a helping hand. You will help them physically in some capacity. Like I said, whether it is giving them a ride somewhere, to a doctor's appointment, to school, their kids to school, or them to job interviews, because obviously they're gonna need to find a new job probably. Or, whatever the heck it is, to a DHS office, Department of Human Services office, to be able to get food stamps, some kind of economic aid and relief, or whatever, that kind of shit. Like, you're not going to hesitate to do that when you're a good-hearted, genuine, compassionate person. Like, you're not even, it's not even a thought. You genuinely will just immediately find yourself doing it if you are there and able to lend that hand physically. You will do it. Help them clean up after the aftermath and try to find anything valuable that they might be able to salvage. Yeah, whatever it is. That is, you're still doing that. You're just not going to financially support them at all, or give them any donations financially, because you're like, hey, it's tough luck, but now you got to suffer through what the average person has to suffer through, and also the homeless have to suffer through. And if you think about it, in a way, it is also hypocritical of these people, say from Altamont or Altadena, or from that matter, again, now the Hollywood Hills, I'm sure there's going to be that shit in those GoFundMes too, that they might feel incredibly, incredibly disturbed and incredibly angered and upset and offended at somebody like myself suggesting such a thing. Because, well, it's technically egotism on their part. It is literally entitlement. By definition, entitlement and egotism. It is on their part. Because they feel like they deserve as much, if not more, attention and support, financially included, as the rest of everybody does. When they don't. For every reason I've already listed. And therefore, again, never supporting them financially at all and making them have to suffer through homelessness, potentially, for a substantial amount of time, is a positive in the long haul, because it forces mirror to face. It forces them to have to realize this is exactly what they were saying by saying, oh, I should be entitled to get a GoFundMe account and us to be able to have your finances given to us because we lost everything. Cool. But that's literally in translation for you millionaires that lived in Altadena, or fucking, like say you lived in Malibu or something and it burned down. This is literally the equivalent to you saying to those people, the actual working class people who lost everything, the homeless people who lost everything and somehow got out with their life, that you matter less than we do. We deserve just as much, if not potentially more, support and funding than you do. Because what about us struggling and being homeless? What about that? That's so bad. And maybe they would try to pull the even more arrogant card of like, our kids have never known homelessness or financial struggles, so you really do need to give us funds via GoFundMe, because do you want our kids to suffer and know what it's like to have to live through something nobody has to? Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I kind of do, because kids are also way more open. They're way more honest, and they have way broader perspectives and fuller pictures. They really do. They're way more detail-oriented than the average adult is. You're already preconditioned as an adult. Are they? Not yet. The younger they are, the better, in that sense. Because Now they have a brand new set of experiences, and it's the polar opposite of what you've made them used to in their first set of years. So maybe they won't be as egotistical later, and they'll actually understand exactly people making the points like I am in this very video, where we're coming from, what we're saying, and realize they're right. They're absolutely right. This is a good thing that you put us through, because now we've learned what that's like to be in that position of the homeless people who suffer, have the injustice, and have these people who lose everything, who were millionaires, think that they are entitled to as much support financially as they are. I know what it's like to be on both sides now. So no, that's egotism. That's pure wrongfulness. It should be going to those people. Am I suffering because I've lost my home now, say now they're adults, and it happens to them again? No. I guarantee if they have good hearts and good heads on their shoulders, they're going to use their experiences to understand that, honestly, I know what it's like on both sides of the fence. So I know that it's these people over here who have been homeless longer, and the people who have been in a worse position financially than I have been. They are the ones who need your support financially, not me, even though I'm now homeless. I can get through it because I've lived it, you know? And I think that that is another aspect and shift in that perspective to show you another way you can look at it and understand, okay, maybe this does make some sense, what's being said. Again, probably not to anybody. But again, none of this is to say don't fucking help anybody who made more, you know, has a net worth of more than 500,000 or did before it all burned to shit, to fucking ash, and they have nothing now. Like, not at all that. It has nothing to do with that at all. It's literally just the financial support aspect that is the problem. I feel like people need to be stop focusing on those people. Look at the whole picture, realize these people were in a hell of a great financial situation to be able to even live where they did, have the house that they did, have the cars that they did, be able to get their kids through all these extracurricular programs in school as they did, like fucking baseball, softball, fucking home ec, whatever the fuck they might have somewhere, and have horses or whatever the fuck else they might have, or just the land in general, and, you know, like, realize, no. These people who are the common people who struggle every fucking waking moment of their life, always stressed, never knowing if they're gonna, you know, suddenly be no cause fired the next day or laid off suddenly, or, you know, whatever else that hurts their finances and their ability to survive in the modern sense, if you will, you know, rather than the feudal or primitive or tribal sense, because obviously people can, that's literally all you need is the most basics for survival, and you'll be okay. You'll be able to sort of live probably just as long as anybody is who lives in a fucking mansion or an apartment in, I don't know, 10 East in fucking Manhattan or something. Like, yeah, I don't know. The point is that, like, it's not a lack of compassion at all. It's a combination of logic and compassion, and it's finding the balance and equilibrium between the two. So where it's like, obviously, like I keep saying, I'll say it one more time. You are obviously, without hesitation, without a second or first thought, going to help somebody if you are present and you are able to. Therefore, because you are there and you have a fully healthy, functioning physical abilities, you're going to help them out in every way you can. Obviously, just not financially. If somehow that means that it's still being arrogant and incompassionate and not understanding, then I don't know what the fuck to tell you, because you and me are going to be diametrically opposed to the day I fucking die, because I will die on this hill, because I know I'm right. That's not me saying it out of ego. It's me trusting in myself more than anybody else. Not to say, like I said, a huge part of this video is because I want to see if anybody understands where I'm coming from and maybe actually can even agree, even if it's only partially, let alone give me your perspective on, I don't know, how you think about it. Like, it doesn't even have to be on your perspective on my perspective. It could literally just be your own personal perspective that maybe you think also might be unpopular. I don't know. Just a thought. But anyway, it's a little mini rant I wanted to go on because Again, it's a classic case of humanity never using their fucking brain. They're just jumping to jump. They're reacting the moment they see something that grabs their emotional brain. And they're like, and instant reaction. Just that. And then likely it is, that's why people like myself are going to get torn to absolute, just eviscerated beyond repair by perspectives like this, because we are thinking they are not. They are just reacting. And that is jingoism. And if you look throughout world history, that's human nature, but it's also the most damaging, dangerous fucking thing, is to allow yourself to be reactive. And boy howdy, especially in the United States, are we the single most reactive nation of people in the entire world, by far. And there's some pretty stiff competition there. Greeks, Turks, Serbs, Brits, Russians, French, folks. Holy crap. Apparently Belgians, I found out today, apparently, that you can't even make an obviously sarcastic joke and friendly jab at a country that is Belge, because apparently everybody says you're just a dick, and you obviously think that apparently Asia is a country, because that's literally the world we're living in and the reality that we're forced to have to deal with. People are fucking stupid. And as Daniel Day-Lewis once said, in character for There Will Be Blood, I hate most people. And I kind of do. Anyway. Words in comments if you feel like it. Probably not. Like I said, there's probably like 2 or 3 people that will watch this, like in the grand scheme, at least, because everybody subscribed to my channel at this point is literally just here pretty much exclusively for the JW content, or the XJW content technically, which is both a blessing and a major curse. I digress. I'm shutting the fuck up now. I'm gonna go get hit by a fucking truck and put through an industrial shredder. It's important, if you'll excuse me.